Hello everyone! Hope you had a lovely weekend and that you managed to enjoy some of the fantastic sun we have been getting, safely of course. I know lockdown is starting to ease a little bit, but it's still important that you take really good care of yourself. On this video today, I'm going to explain essay structure. This is going to look at how we do the essays at Higher, and we're going to start with the 12 marker. Before I start presenting the slides for that to talk you through it, can I just remind you that if you've done work for the Higher course, you have to actually hand it in on Google Classroom. Even though you've been assigned the document and I can go look at it, I'm not going to assume your Higher now is literally a click of a button to send it to the teacher. Can you please make sure you do that? If you don't do that, I'm not going to go in and mark, because the amount of time it takes my computer to load up someone's work to then find that they've not done it, and if I have to do that with 5 or 6 of you for every class that I teach. But if you send it to me, even if it's half done and you want feedback before going on to the next steps, I can send it back to you and we can send it back and forth. So please, if you are doing work on the documents, you need to actually hand it in to me. Those who are doing work on paper, please make sure that you let me know what you're doing at least once a week. You will have to send me this essay, and what I will say is please make sure it is up to as high a standard as you can. Look what happened this year. Now, I'm not saying this will be used in evidence next year, but the more and stronger evidence we have to go, yes, this person deserves Higher Modern, the easier it makes it for us. So don't just go, oh, first essay, can't be bothered. If you find it hard, that's not a problem, because it's your first essay and it'll show your progression throughout the course. So without further ado for this week, I'm going to go and present some of these slides for you. We're going to look at essay structure. These slides are on your classroom. I've also put them under the essay structure and skills tab. What I would say is at the end of this, we're not going to get through every single slide today, but for the purposes of the classroom, I wanted to keep it all together. So on the end of these slides, you'll actually find the guide for the 20 mark essays as well. I will do a whole other lesson on how to write the 20 markers, but this keeps it all together for you. This week specifically, we need to understand how to structure an essay. This is very different from National Modern. So for those of you who didn't do National or you haven't done it in a few years, please don't worry. It is a new skill for every single person in the class this year. It's really important we identify how we get the marks, and you're going to plan and hopefully write your first 12 mark essay. Now, what kind of essay questions might you get at Higher? There are 4 potentials. Your 12 markers will either be an analyse or an evaluate question. Your 20 markers will always be a to what extent or a discuss question. What I will say now is this is based on last year and the previous few years. We don't know at the moment if SQA will decide to edit things slightly given the whole COVID situation. They wouldn't change this drastically, but it might just juggle a few of the marks or what it's worth. Please don't panic. As soon as we know, we'll update anything. But what we are looking at, today we're going to focus on these 12 markers, an analyse question or an evaluate. It's really important that you know the difference between these. An analyse is looking at why. Why is that good? You've told me it's good. Why? Why should I care? What's it going to do? Why? Your evaluate is weighing up, here's one option, here's a second option, here's which one is better, or here's why this is good, however, here's how it's bad. Evaluate is about balance. The 20 markers, as I say, I will do a whole lesson on that one. To what extent is basically looking at both sides, and a discuss. It's just more information that you have to provide. An analysis infers the meaning or purpose of something. So you've got to tell me why. So if you see an analyse question, immediately you should be going, why? Evaluation's making a judgment. Well, it's kind of good, it's very good, it's limited. For evaluation, you need to be thinking, how good is it? Or how bad is it? Oh, it's completely bad. Right, what's your evidence to say that? Or, well, it has good points and bad points. Overall, I would say it's better than the bad side. Or overall, I would say actually it's really poor and this isn't a good thing. Now, I'm not going to talk through these words, they should be self-explanatory. However, this is the difference on what will get you the marks at higher. What I'm going to ask you to do, if you're watching the video and you prefer to do it this way, is pause it. If you're just going through the slides, please make sure you come back. I would like you to create a list of sentence starters or words you can use that fit under the two categories. Now, you can use the ones that I've got in the slides here, but add your own as well. On the other hand, if you want to remove some of these because you know I'm not going to use that, I don't know what that word means, I'm not going to use it, get it off your list. There is no point. What you'll see though is the difference. So analysis, it is reasonable to conclude. So overall, from this, we can tell. This clearly shows it is significant, it's important because the effect this has on people, anything like that. Evaluative, look at the difference. Highly, mostly, lower, higher, things like that. It's a bit like saying how good is it or how bad is it? You can't say, oh yeah, it's good. Okay, well, how good? Oh, it's really good, bit better. Okay, well, weighing up the evidence, actually this is really good because it's important for. They're the kind of things that get you the mark. So pause the video, create a list, or make sure you come back and do that. This is an example of an essay question you can get at higher. It is a past paper question from the SQA. Evaluate the effectiveness of one voting system that you have studied in providing fair representation. Again, if you are watching this video, I would suggest that you pause it and that you think about what's in that green box at the bottom. What do you think it's asking you to do? I am about to tell you, but I want you to break it down for yourself. What is this asking? What are you going to have to look at? Are you evaluating, analysing what kind of words are going to come into play? Make a few ideas or jot down what you think your gut instinct is you're going to have to do for that. Okay, you're back. Congratulations on doing that fabulous work. What it is asking is to pick one system. Oh, would you look at that? I forgot a P. I'll add that on. You either pick first past the post or AMS. We did this last week. You should know it. It is very, very crucial that in modern studies you read the question properly. That maybe sounds stupid. However, there are a few questions that SQA can set that the marks genuinely depend on one letter of the alphabet. There is a question that we'll do when we come to social inequalities, which if it says a group you have studied or groups, plural, you have studied. That's how tiny it is. If you get a question asking you for the effect of poverty on a group you have studied and you talk about 3 groups, you won't get full marks. If it asks you to discuss the impact of poverty on groups, plural, and you only talk about 1, you won't get full marks. Same as this. If you start talking about both voting systems we looked at, you won't get full marks. It's really important you actually look at what it's asking you. That's why I've underlined the 1. It won't do that in the exam. Not always anyway, so you need to pay attention. It's asking you to evaluate. Why is it good? Why is it bad? For the purposes of this essay, you should have enough information to do whichever electoral system that you prefer. I don't mind. I'm not going to ask you that it must be first past the post or it must be AMS. It's whichever one you prefer. However, it's also saying providing fair representation. Now, last week, I didn't specifically give you something to say, how does first past the post provide equal age ranges in Parliament? This is where your critical thinking skills come in. Look at age, class, so social class, the rich, the poor. We will do a little bit more on that in the next couple of weeks. And ethnicity. Which one of these systems is going to give you fairer representation? Which one of these systems is going to mean more or less votes are heard or are valued? I'm hoping that you're seeing what I'm getting at. Again, it's very difficult without seeing your faces. Please remember the live, check my timetable, on Tuesday afternoon to go through any of this if you want. But you need to think, why is that system good and bad? Has it made progress? In terms of getting the marks, I'm going to take you through the mark scheme just now. I'm then going to give you an activity to do that I'm hoping will help you understand this a little bit better. For a 12-mark essay, there are always 8 marks available for KU. Anytime you see KU, that is knowledge and understanding. Knowledge and understanding are things like a fact or a statistic or your knowledge of something. Oh, the House of Lords can critique the House of Commons and bills that they pass. That's a KU mark. You then get 4 marks for analysis or evaluation. This is very different to the 20 marker, so I'm making it clear now. It will be an A or an E mark. If it's an analysed question, it will be A. If it's the question that we just looked at, it's going to be E. This is taken from the official SQA marking guidelines. I'd pause the video if you want to have a read properly, or go and have a look at the slides. Essentially, it's saying that if you get extra evaluation points, that can be added to your knowledge, but it does not work the other way around. So you can write down 8 amazing facts of knowledge. Great, you'll get 8 marks. You can add another 3 on, but you've got no analysis or evaluation, so you have to get that in. And I should say it's 6 marks per paragraph maximum. Okay. If you've done history before, I know that there are similar structures in place. For those that did National Modern, we PE'd all year, which for those of you, why am I laughing at my own joke when I'm sat here alone? Welcome to Higher Modern Studies. We PE'd, so we point, explain and exampled all our answers. This year we need to add an extra step, which is analysis and link. What I would say is every time you're doing an essay in Modern, you peel. Okay, so we're taking it a bit further. We're a bit less immature than last year, thankfully. What does this mean? This is just a very rough example. Your point, keep it brief. What are you about to tell me? Okay, the first past the post system is easy to understand. That's a point. Basically, you're telling your marker, what are you about to talk about in this paragraph? Right, now expanding it, pretending that I have not got a clue what you mean by that. Well, there's only one vote, so people won't get confused. All right, now I'm with you. That's why it's easy to understand. You've explained your point. You then have to have an example. This is why I was saying the past few weeks, every time you're making notes, examples, examples, examples. For democracy, examples of bills, of MPs, of percentages, of specific instances or question times, or you don't need to know every single one, but you need to think about an example that you can use in multiple ways. A good one here would be turnout is higher for UK general elections, which use this compared to those for the Scottish Parliament. Now, that might not have been a statistic you got last week. It doesn't matter. It can be anything. Your example could be that first past the post has been used for hundreds of years, okay? But it's how can you back up your point? Your example is essentially, what's your evidence? Prove it. Okay, you say it's easy. What does that matter? Your analysis then comes in there, which is good. Why? Well, people are more likely to vote if something's easy, and then link it back to the question. Now, I know I said that we're doing an evaluate question here, but if you follow that P, your analysis point there is effectively becomes your evaluation point. Well, you've evaluated people are more likely to vote for something that is easy to understand because it can be quick and I've deliberately left that open because I don't want you copying all my answers. Therefore, first past the post can be seen as good. Hopefully that makes sense. You're going to see some other examples later on today. Just to highlight here as well, that first sentence, you'll notice I have written out the first past the post and then put FPTP. In an exam, it is fine to do that with anything within reason. So if you're abbreviating additional member system, you should, the first time you write that phrase, write the additional member system. You can then put in brackets what its short version is, and you can use that throughout the rest of your answer. Because if you notice here, I've used first past post, but later on I just say FPTP to save time. You have to acknowledge at once what it is fully, and then that's it. Right. Here is what you'll find on the SQA website in the marking guides. This essentially is breaking down how you can get your marks. It's really important to know, though, that you will get 1 KU mark for 1 point of knowledge. It's not as if you have to have all 4 together. I know when I first looked at these years ago, they're a little bit daunting, but it just shows you the difference between how you can get some marks. For those panicking, don't worry. How do you set out these answers? Introduction. For a 12 marker, it should be a really brief sentence. For the 20 markers, which we'll do later, you need more detail because you actually get marks for the structure of an essay. So in a 20 mark essay, you will actually literally get 2 marks for introduction, middle and end. True. So your introduction here, I'm summarising that. You need a little bit more than intro, middle and end, but you get the point. Brief sentence. Tell me briefly what you're about to talk about so that it is clear to the marker that you are answering the correct question and you know what you're answering. You then peel twice. So you should have 2 different points. So first past the post is good because it's easy to understand. First past the post is also good because it usually gives a clear majority government. Now, it's evaluating, so you're saying usually there because you'll be able to talk in your paragraph about how it doesn't always. Your conclusion should be a brief sentence as well. That's where your evaluation words come in, so remember that. What I'm going to do is give you time to read the answer on the next slide. By give you time, you pause it. You know how to use technology. I want you to have a think upon reading that. What do you think reading that it might get? Now, I know this is the first time you've done this, so please do not get scared. I just want you to pause it and have a think. The paragraph you're about to see can get a maximum of 6 marks, up to 4 knowledge marks, and up to 2 evaluating. Just so that you know, the question that was in the SQA, this is taken from an SQA answer. One role of Parliament is to hold government to account, evaluate the effectiveness of Parliament in holding government to account, referred to Scotland or UK or both. The reason I've picked this one is we have done the content for this. You should know how to hold the government to account. The examples used might be different. That is fine. There are millions of examples that can be used, but have a think about knowledge. So you can pause the slide here to have a look. What I'll then do is I will go over the answers. So if you've not done this, please don't look ahead and spoil it. It's really good to show you a good and a bad example so that you know how to structure essays, but it is for your benefit. Now that you've had a look at this, I'm going to go over the answers. So please pause or skip ahead if you don't want to see. What we have here. One of the main roles in Parliament is to hold to account the work of government. Parliament can do this in many ways, blah, blah, blah. That's your introduction. To be honest, they probably could have gotten away with shorter than that. One of the main roles of Parliament is to hold account the work of government. Parliament can do this in many ways, such as questioning ministers, taking part in debates and making laws. Perfect. Their marks are noted in the red there. So again, pause this to have a look where they actually got a mark. What you'll see is the difference between a knowledge mark and evaluation. The end of that first paragraph. Why do they get evaluation? This shows that. They also said the sentence before, it embarrassed them. So it's saying how it is good. How is it a good thing? What makes it good? The next one, again, you look at your knowledge, your examples, that gets your KU marks. This highlights how Parliament can be effective, but is limited. So your evaluation there is basically acknowledging, actually, it is good, but it can't do everything. That's where evaluation comes in. What I would say is if you're not sure of the difference, go back and have a little look at the past few slides and the bit of the video. I'm going to move on. If you still don't get this, please, please, please join the Google Meets on Tuesday afternoon or email me questions. If you understand this now or within the next week or 2, it will make your life much easier. My plan is that you will have an essay by April on every single study theme we've done. Okay. Now what I'm going to say is there is a document that has been assigned to you with examples of past paper answers. The SQA are pretty good now at when they put out the marking scheme, when they release it publicly, they also give example answers that they received. This is really useful for you guys and for me as a teacher to go, yep, I agree, that's where it would get a mark. I want you to think if it's good, if it's weak. I've put a column on the right-hand side where you can write any thoughts. It would be really good, even if you're not sure, if you say, I think this would get a mark, but I'm not sure. If you want to highlight it, maybe you want to highlight or change the font color so that the knowledge is red and the evaluation is blue, or whatever you like. You can do that. Just tell me in the box what you've done. If you're not sure, tell me you're not sure. That is just as important because otherwise I might think you understand this and move on. If I know you're not clear, I can do this again. I can do other activities to help you understand. That's one of your activities. The next is I would really like you to try writing an essay for the question there. It is your first essay. I am not expecting perfection. 12 out of 12 would be lovely and amazing, but it's about giving it a go and using that Peel structure. My suggestion, since it's your first one, now I can already think on the back of my hand how many of you and who exactly will just want to dive straight in and write the essay without planning. I'm not naming names. I also know who is sitting watching this video laughing because they know exactly who I'm on about. It's you. Your evaluating effectiveness, I would like you to plan it, particularly if you're not sure about this or you're not sure where it's going. You need 2 paragraphs for this. Think about Peel, think about the structure. I've also put an essay planning guide up on Google Classroom under the week beginning 1st June. That will give you some sentence starters and it will give you the structure to help you. The key thing is think about your relevant examples. Prove to me that you know about the voting system. You can do first past the post or AMS. I will mark either. And my aim is that the deadline for this, I'm giving you until next Monday. From that Monday, I will have them marked by the Friday. That is my plan. So I hope that's okay with you. If you want to run your plan past me first, please email it to me. I'll have a look, give you some feedback before you write the essay. But some of you are not going to do a plan and you want to dive in. The plan might take you up to 1 period's worth of work and the writing the essay up to 1 period of work. It won't in the exam, it will be much quicker, but because this is your first one until you figure it out, some of you might do it in half an hour and it's over and that's great. But the other tasks should take you up to speed this week. Please let me know if you have any questions. I can't wait to see lots of you on Tuesday afternoon. Email me, comment with any questions or queries you have. I am always happy to help. Thanks, guys.